Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. I'm thrilled you're here, and I am very excited to be sharing with you this age-old question. If I'm so smart, why can't I lose weight? So today we're going to be learning in a way that probably will surprise you, and it's not because you aren't smart enough, it's because you just haven't figured it out. And this is an amazing opportunity for you to really look at what is going on in your brain. And so I'm so happy you're here. So in the chat, I just want you to share, what is it that you are the most excited about as you come? So when you think about this training, you think about what is really going on in my brain. Um, so I'd love to hear your thoughts as you came. Okay. All right. Okay. So yeah, make sure that you can hear me and everything, because that's always a bit of a challenge. Okay, so you feel, all right, I love these. So you're here because you do want to be healthy. You have put a lot of effort. And the thing that's so frustrating is that you're the kind of person that when you do something, you want to do it really well. And so if you've had so much failure in the past, it's so confusing because you think, well, I've worked so hard. I've tried so many things. And so the more that you can understand what's really going on, the better. And so today we're going to look at, if I want to be so healthy, so but why am I still sneaking that Ben and Jerry's at 10 at night in my pajamas? Or why am I not having the water that I know I should? Or why am I not doing those things? And so the more that you can understand it, the more that we can really see what's happening. Yes, to help with cravings. And actually, on Thursday, I'm going to be doing a free training all about cravings. So I'm so happy that you've come to this and that you found me. So let's keep working. All right. So I want you to think about why. So why are those cravings so strong? Why are you make these promises, but you don't follow through? So let's look at this further. So you want to eat, you should eat better, you want to eat better, and being healthy is actually genuinely important to you. So why does it feel impossible to follow through consistently? It's not because you're lazy, it's not because you're weak, it's not because you lack willpower, it's because your brain simply is doing what it was programmed to do. Now, your brain has been wired throughout a lifetime of choices you don't even realize. And so today we're going to learn about that. And we're also going to learn about how we were raised. And there's a lot of training, a lot of wiring that happened behind the scenes that until we actually start understanding what's really going on, no matter how many promises like keto or the Weight Watchers or any of those things are, if we don't go and understand what's really happening, then all of that is wasted energy. So I want to hear from you. You want to be healthy because what does it mean for you to be healthy? So you can have more energy, you can do more, you can have ideas and follow through. That's something I see happening inside my membership. You can have less brain fog. You want to be healthy because you want to travel. You want to have more adventures. And when you go on the adventures, you want to have more energy and self-trust. You want to be able to volunteer on the field trip with your kids. You want to be able to go swimming and move easier, totally. And you want to, there are some more. We want to, yeah, like you said, we want to move easier. We want to have less pain. We want to be able to wake up in the morning and say, this is what I want to do today, and trust that you're going to follow through. How many of us want that? What about this? We want to get dressed and feel good. We want to have more clothing options. And we want to feel Yeah, we want to have this energy in our body. What about creativity? A lot of the women that come to me, you're creative, wonderful. You have a lot of creativity. You have tons of ideas. Just recently, I went to the thrift store and I bought this beautiful ball of wool. And I had this idea of making it into like a cowl and have it like super soft and cozy for autumn. And I actually followed through on it and I've made it. And now it's ready for all these autumn adventures. So that being healthy means that you have the energy that not by the end of the day you're falling flat on your face because you're so exhausted or you're having the sugar crashes. So in the chat, I want you to tell me, what does having a why do you want to have a healthier body? What would it impact in your life? And I want you to really think about how that would affect your relationships with yourself, your relationship with other people in your family. And as you think about that, what would you be doing in your life? Would you be signing up for more things? Would you be saving a lot more money if you were healthier in your body because you wouldn't be having to spend so much or you wouldn't be buffering as much? So I want you just to be really curious about that. So now I want to understand, what have you tried for weight loss? Less joint pain, moving easier. Love it. So good. And to be more active, not so tired, bicycling with granddaughter, hubby, totally. Not having to go to as many doctor's appointments, not having those extra costs. There's so many, it's very it's all right. So I love it. Next, what have you tried for weight loss? What have you tried? You've tried Weight Watchers. Oh, sorry, deprivation, right? How many of you have used deprivation? And when you say deprivation, it's like I can't eat what I want because until I weigh what I want. Yeah, so we have Weight Watchers, fasting. Let's look at that. What about willpower? I can't have any cheat foods until I weigh a healthy number. What about proven diets like Weight Watchers or um, keto, all of these things? Okay. Someone has to tell me what to eat. I just keep failing. What about I spend a lot of money on programs. Clearly, I can't do this on my own. What about I spend a lot of time on tips and tricks? So maybe I can hobble together a plan. Or what about what have you tried to lose weight and be healthy? I've spent lots of money on food supplements. I must have destroyed my metabolism and messed up my hormones. Right. What about going to the gym? Yes. Or what about going to like Weight Watchers or somewhere where you have to publicly humiliate yourself? If I'm embarrassed enough, I can change. Or what about this one? If I spend a lot of time researching, but then not doing, so you get that fatigue. Or what about I burn myself out with thinking and overthinking? If I am not vigilant, I will fail even worse. Okay. So we have willpower, rewards, negative self-talk, comparison to others, or comparison to your past self. You pay lots of money on supplements, on programs, on all these things. You have apps to track things. You have research paralysis. You try harder and you burn yourself out. So if that's you, say amen in the chat. You're like, that is me. And this is the thing, you are not alone. You're not alone. There are so many other people that have done this, have struggled. So I actually help yo-yo dieters into women who now enjoy their lives and their bodies no matter what their size. Amen. I love it. So you're going to learn to save so much energy because you finally understand how your brains and body work together. Now, you want to be healthy. You try all these methods. So why has it worked for me and my clients? And I apologize. I had some problems with some of the photos, uploading them. So Sue is a very smart and extremely conscientious person. She's followed diets and knows what to do with tracking calories, all of that. She's even had many diets where the doctor has said, you have, if you don't follow this, then we have to have a back surgery or this or that. And she's been really vigilant and she did all those things. Um, but what happens? She would still gain the weight. And now we're after working with me, she's lost 70 pounds and she's maintained that since 2021. So all because of using the brains and using the tools, sorry, that have helped her with her brain. So here's Claudia. She spent most of her life in and out of Weight Watchers. So why does she have success in my program? Or what about Deb? She's an accountant. So she like knows numbers really well. So why at 65 was she at rock bottom with her weight? It's not because she didn't know how to count calories properly or track. She knew how to do that better than most people. So why has she lost 80 pounds and kept that off since working with me? And then here we have Susan, who didn't even understand how her emotional challenges and the way her brain worked kept her in such a state of gaining and losing weight. And now she's lost over 70 pounds and kept that off, all because of the tools. So no one taught you how the brain works. So this isn't your fault. You don't have a knowledge problem, you have a thinking problem. So how many of you in here, and it's okay to like that you struggle. So you don't have this knowledge problem. You know what to eat. You know what you're supposed to eat. Most of you here have raised children. You know that if you fed a child or a teenager or someone else too many calories, you know that they would have problems. So what makes it different for you? And this is a really powerful question. Well, your brain is a central processing unit. Your brain has many different functions. And so traditional diets and approaches like willpower and negative self-talk and over-researching, those inadvertently have actually wired your brain to make things worse. So if this is making sense to you, put a thumbs up or an amen or I hear ya in the chat. I want to hear this because I love to just shout this from the rooftops. You don't have a knowledge problem. You have a thinking problem. One of my first clients that I worked with, she went to the doctor and he said, you need to do this, you need to do that. She goes, I know all the things to do, but I don't know how to think differently. Amen, amen, thumbs up. I hear you. Thank you so much. So finally, this is the answer to permanent weight loss. Does this sound familiar? You're sad? Here's a sucker. You're sick? Here's some popcorn to coat your throat. You're being noisy or restless? Here's some crackers. Or congratulations on your accomplishment. Let's get a special ice cream treat. So the human need is to feel safe. If you don't feel safe, you can feel out of control. Now, when you were raised to turn to food for all of these emotions, and you didn't learn how to feel all your feelings, and you wanted to feel safe, you wanted to keep flowing with the, going with the flow and being belonging to the people that were treating you or like in charge of you, I mean. So then what happens? So we need to feel safe as a human, right? We are wired for safety. Now, if you don't feel safe, what happens? You feel like you have to learn to control things. Now, if food was used to be in control and you don't know what else to do, you're in trouble. Okay, are you following my logic? So, if we need to feel in control and we want to, if we don't know, sorry, how do you get your control back? Now, this is really fascinating. So, the reality is that we don't have control of others in our circumstances. We don't have control if someone is at war. We don't have control if someone burns something, a house or a church down. We don't have control. We don't. So then we want to be in control to mitigate those threats, right? And the more we try to exert control, the more stress and pain we have. The more pain we have, pain actually turns into depression. Now, this is a very recent a very recent stat. 29% of Americans are depressed, and 4.4% of the world are depressed. Now, a whole generation ago, we did not have these kinds of stats. Now, I want you to think 40% of Americans are obese, and 16% of adults globally are obese, and it's 8% of children are globally obese. These are astounding stats. Now, I want you to think, what is the correlation before I go any further? What do you think is the correlation between feeling like you have to be in control and you want to control pain and obesity? What do you think? And you don't have to put it in the chat. I just want you to think about what is actually happening. So every time you were given food in response to a positive or negative emotion, the brain made a circuit. So how do these numbers translate this into this training? You're like, I want to be healthy, but I'm still overeating. So I don't know how to feel pain or control through feeling out of control. So what do you do to quiet the noise? So let's look at that. So if you don't know how to feel pain, work through the pain, work and feel out of control, like understand what that feels like in your body and give it permission to be like, yeah, these are the things I have control over and these are the things I don't. What do we tend to do to quiet that noise or to try to feel quiet the noise? We eat food, we scroll on social media, we gamble, we do drugs, pornography, shopping, sex. All of those things are some type of consumption to try to quiet the noise. So what do you do? What are your ways to quiet the noise? What are your ways to try to get back into control, even though it's a false control, which can lead to depression? So here is why program members like Deb, Susan, Sue, Claudia, Kathy, Marie, and Michelle, why are they getting different results? Why are they having more success? Why do you think they are? It's because they understand how to start using their brain. So inside my program, I help women look at what's actually been wired in their brain and what are we going to do instead. So the amygdala, so our brain has lots of different parts. And one of the parts of the brain is the amygdala. And this is like the point guard. So of course I need to do this because, I have 5 kids and they all play basketball, my daughter included. So the amygdala is like the point guard on a basketball team, right? So they bring the ball down and they're always looking for the best play. So they're looking at different players in different positions and they're making decisions on what is the best move to get us our best result, which is obviously a point or, points for your team. So the amygdala has a special job. It's there to process emotions, which of course is always looking for danger. Because if you were to see a bear outside your yard or a rainbow, what is your brain going to focus on? Absolutely. It's going to focus on the bear because that's life-threatening. So we are wired to survive, right? And if there's any sort of danger, we have fight, flight, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And fawn is people pleasing. Okay. So it's always looking for danger. The other job that it has is look for emotional memory. So if you say something and someone frowns, then you have a memory. Oh, it's dangerous. Maybe I need to do more or like apologize, even though it's not my fault because I want to have safety. We also have decision making. So it weighs out all the potential dangers and makes decisions. It also looks for social cues. So I am threatened to belong, right? That's part of that emotional memory, and then reward and motivation. All right. So when you think about your amygdala, I want you to say, okay, you're like, Dara, I didn't come here to have a science lesson. I just want to be healthy. Yes, but think about how we have been wired. Okay. Now, actually, this is how we learn. In order to learn, we have to have a dopamine. Okay. Dopamine's part of our learning process. So there's two different ways that dopamine work. One is it helps us learn both positive and negative. So for example, when we were little, if we touched a hot stove, ooh, we don't do that anymore. Okay. So now because of that dopamine response of ouch, pain, now it's been circuited, right? There's that circuit that says do not touch hot things. And so that circuit is now created that learning, which now informs us of what we need to do. Okay. Amazing. So it's for positive and for negative. So even like we help somebody, we open the door for someone and we get that dopamine rush of like, oh, and then now it's wired in us that when we open the door for other people, it makes us feel good. Okay. If now, if we, so the second part of dopamine, it's a reward center. So excitement, it's the reason for continuing any behavior. So if we get, it's like, okay, if we have that response, then what do we end up doing? So there's that little bit of pleasure on top of a whole lot of pain. So let's look at that. So the dopamine, so the more dopamine we get, the more tolerance is. So just like the more you need to get a hit to get that reward. So the more tolerance, the bigger the addiction. So for example, like if we try a chocolate bar, we're just like, at first we're like, ooh, I really like that. And then we're going to want it more. And then the more we want it, the more that what happens is we create an intolerance, right? So we need more and more of that to get that hit. And then now we need it. This is how addiction is born. So what do? We have to fix the dopamine receptors. So there's lots of different ways. You can have a detox, right? You can go to a drug rehab, or you can um, lock yourself up or isolate yourself for 3 weeks to wean yourself. Oh, pardon me. You can remove the trigger. There are 262 names for sugar. And if that sugar is in the first three ingredients, that's a dessert. But we are believing we're eating that as our main meal. So we are inadvertently training our receptors and we're increasing this tolerance. And so we're no longer getting that dopamine hit. And now it's becoming an addiction to get any sort of high. So we can remove the flour and sugar and we can use emotional skills and problem solving. That's what I work with my clients on. We can also use our higher brain to plan the sugar and flour. So now we're in our higher brain instead of that reactionary brain. We can also be aware of what's really going on. So I want you to see if this sounds familiar to you. Okay. So you're here. Okay. We're here, right? We're in fall and you're right back here. You're frustrated, you're confused, and heavier than you are today. So you'll research another diet over the holidays while telling yourself, well, January 1st is going to be my day. I might as well just gain all this weight and just enjoy the holidays and not worry about deprivation, right? How many of you can relate to this? You're like, oh my goodness, Dara, how are you in my brain? So then what starts happening? Am I in your brain? Yes or no? You can put it in the chat. So now you'll start strong in January and you always do, right? You're like, yeah, I'm going to like really commit. 100% committed. You read the books, you do the things, you pay the price. And then what starts happening? By January, February, March, you start being back in those same patterns. So then what starts happening? You struggle with the diet, you come up with excuses, and then you start waning, right? And the diet, the excuses feel very valid. It's like my metabolism, menopause, all of these things, it's not my fault, right? And then by the summer, you're going to go and find another Instagram person. Well, I guess I better start with that. But then by fall, you'll be right back there, frustrated, confused. So, what do you have to do to change? Well, you actually need to learn weight loss science. And it's simple. You have to identify why you're really turning to the food. So, being honest with yourself. Why am I eating this food? Am I really hungry? Why am I doing this? And we're not doing it from a place of being a jerk. We're doing it from actual curiosity and compassion and self love. We need to learn how to be aware of our thoughts because our thoughts create our emotions. We need to make a decision. It's like, do I want to, can, excuse me, do I want to continue the story or am I ready to hang this up? Am I ready to change the way I'm looking at this? We need to learn to feel our feelings. And we need to stop thinking that we can push them away with all these emotions. And then this is why this works, okay? Because food solves one problem. It solves physical hunger and energy. That's what food solves. And also why it works is that when we keep when we stop fighting our brain and start working with it, that's what's going to start really helping us. And then when we learn to think about our thinking and slow down and say, why am I doing this? Then we start becoming, we're in our higher brain, in that CEO where we can like look at patterns and we can say, oh, yeah, this is a common pattern. And it has nothing to do with me and my worth as a human. It's just this trap, this thinking trap that I get into. Hmm. Do I want to change it? Yeah, it sounds good. Then we start to process our emotions instead of buffering. So buffering is just a way for us to, I don't want to feel uncomfortable, so I'm going to eat. Or I don't want to feel uncomfortable, so I'm going to go see what's on Instagram. I want to distract myself. Or I don't want to feel uncomfortable, so I'm going to go bake some cookies. Or I don't want to feel uncomfortable. I don't want to feel happy, or I don't want to feel frustrated. I don't want to feel whatever fill in the blank emotion. So I'm going to go distract myself. So the more that we can understand that pattern, the more success we're going to have. And then what starts happening is we learn how to build self confidence. And one of the big misunderstandings that people have is they think that you're either born with self confidence or not. But I'm going to tell you right now that you learn self confidence. And so now you don't even think twice about tying your shoes. But at one point, tying your shoelaces were really hard. Okay. So what we need? We need some skills so that we can change. So one of the skills to change is to apply weight loss science. So we actually need to start understanding what happens when you understand like what's actually happening in our body. I love watching my clients say to me, "Oh, that's right. When I snack, I'm increasing my insulin, and when I increase my insulin, then it decreases my body's ability to dine in, to like use the stored fat. So the more that I understand that if I want to use my stored fat, I have to not eat and increase my insulin. Oh, okay. Then I know that now I can just go to the logic and that can help me. It's so exciting to watch my clients, and I've been sharing them with you like Michelle, like she's lost over 20 pounds and she's learning how her fibromyalgia doesn't have to define her anymore. And Marie, who is running half marathons and she's lost over 60 pounds. And she's now creating that confidence to say, you know what? I'm going to lose this extra 35 pounds in this amount of time. And and I don't have to punch myself in the face to lose the weight. I can actually keep building on these skills. The next thing that happens, the next skill that is required for permanent weight loss is to become conscious of your thoughts. You're like, oh, I'm feeling really uncomfortable about this decision that I made. Okay, that's okay to be uncomfortable. And when I have a thought, it actually has this trigger effect that I have an emotion, but I don't have to be afraid of my emotions, both positive and negative. Another skill that they learn is I can just process my emotion. I don't have to eat or I don't have to scroll. I don't have to go shopping to numb my feelings. I can just feel them. It's okay. Emotions are just vibrations in my body. Another skill that they learn is that I can make a goal and I can start pursuing what I want because I'm not afraid of my emotions. And so what happens is they get immediate results. So they start understand and so what's results, sorry, they get the results that they get from learning these skills is they get clarity about why they've been struggling. And it's not because they're weak, it's not because they're broken. You get relief that there is a solution. It doesn't mean you have to have restriction willpower. In fact, one of the things that I teach my that in my inside my program is the more that you can just accept this is just my human body. This is I weighed this amount because I didn't have those skills. And because now I'm going to learn those skills, I'm going to learn how to change. I can eventually it's going to happen because weight loss is a side effect. I'm actually getting to the root of the problem. And now they're understanding their brain. They're like, "Oh, thank you amygdala. You were just trying to warn me. Oh, and thank you, amygdala. That whole thing about touching something hot and like not wanting to burn, that's awesome. I'm going to keep that wiring. But now when I'm feeling sad, I'm no longer going to go to the cinnamon bun. I'm going to change that. Okay. Thank you, amygdala. Thank you for helping me. Right. Thank you, dopamine. Thank you for teaching me. I'm going to use dopamine now to help me, not to hinder me. Okay. And then what results starts happening for the members in my program is that they learn that hope is actually amazing and that they can keep trying and they don't have to give up. And so when you start learning these skills and getting these results, you make true transformation, no matter how old you are, no matter how many times you failed. Because the truth of the matter is, the reason why you keep going for the diets is because you want peace of mind. So what I want you to stop wasting time by looking for all these things outside of you when you actually have all the answers inside of you. And the more that you understand how your brain works, the more you can use it to your advantage. You want to feel calm. You want to realize that you've never had a knowledge problem. You know what you can eat. It's the thinking that's broken. But the more that you understand these skills and this process, the more you can be like Michelle and Marie and Sue and Susan and Deb and Claudia because you understand that you can change, you can see how you're thinking and you can change it. Then you start building confidence. You finally understand that your weight has never been the real issue. It was always about how you were thinking and feeling. And then reassurance, you become the woman who knows how to feel her feelings. And that changes everything. So I want you to ask yourself this question. What would start happening if you were fueled by peace of mind, calm, confidence, and reassurance every time you approached a problem? What would happen if you learned how to filter your thoughts and you could have freedom from food drama and you could trust yourself and you have all of this whole toolbox to create a life. It's life coaching. So it's like, how do I create the life I want? What would happen if you knew that you could change this cycle, right? That you no longer have to keep looking for all these diets outside of yourself, but that you could be the expert for yourself. What would happen? Now, I want to look at let's do some calculations. So I don't know how old you are, but let's think 5 years from now. Okay. So however old you are now, I want you to think, okay, what is it costing you to have 5 more January 1st? Was it costing you to have 5 more years of buying the same diet books? I have so many diet books. They're all variations of the same. And so you put all that energy and effort into reading somebody else's expert advice, but you actually, so even if you read it but don't implement, all that wasted time. 5 more years of saying, I'll start Monday. So there's 52 weeks. That's 52 times 5, 250 or 260 weeks of like lowering your self-trust over and over. 5 more years of avoiding photos with your grandkids and your kids hiding behind your quilts. 5 more years of sitting on the sidelines while life is happening to you. 5 more years of your body carrying extra weight that's impacting your joints, your heart, your energy, and your sleep. What impact is that having? And I want you to ask yourself in the next 10 years. So, do you want to be in your 70s, 75, 80s, and still struggling with the same food battles? Do you want to spend your retirement years, the years you've been working your whole life for? I have I was speaking to a lady recently and she said she's on a trip and she's having to rely on her pain shots because she wants to be able to walk and be able to do all the adventures. So, do you want to miss out on the travel and playing with your grandkids and enjoying your quilting groups and having all this extra energy, or maybe even starting a long arm quilting business and being able to walk more? I just had a interview with one of the members in the program, and she's quilting way more. She has a long arm, so she's able to stand a lot more. She's able to um, commit to doing something that she wants to do, and she has so much more self trust. Her quality of life is so much higher. So, Deb figured at 72, imagine if she was learning these earlier, right? It's not too late. So the medical reality you're avoiding. So every year that you carry that extra weight and have that insulin resistance, you're more likely to have type 2 diabetes, heart disease, point problems, and certain cancers. So every year you yo-yo diet, this does affect your metabolism. And this emotional eating, just like we talked about with the dopamine, right? We have that intolerance. So you're creating an addiction. So, and when you're doing the analysis paralysis, the research, you're not moving forward in the life that you want. So I want you just to ask yourself, what is it costing you? Um, oops. So the real cost of the diet cycle. So you've tried Weight Watchers, the keto, the special ingredients, the programs with Instagram influencers, the Noom, the Fitness Pal, my premiums, the other apps, meal planning services, special foods, shakes, bars, going to a naturopath, all of that. Maybe a personal trainer. I want us just to look at the financial cost alone. So even if it's $20 to $45 a month, so you stay on it for 6 to 12 months, you rejoin a year or two later. So over 10 years, $2,400 to $5,400 a month. I mean, a year. Sorry, in the next 10 years. What could you be doing otherwise? What about this one? Again, so cookbooks, all of these supplements, it's costing you a year, over a year. Yeah, over 10 years, but even a year, breaking it down, $1,800 to $10,000. All of these like $47, $27, $97, average of $500 to $1,500 per year. What about all of these? Yeah, premium, the apps, all of these special foods, 1,200, 3,600, 240 a year. So, working out, which obviously would be good, but if you're paying for it and you're not using it, So the total average spent on diets per year can range between 2 to 8,000, and over the next 10 years, 20 to 80,000. And do you ever even get to the root of what's really going on? That's the question. It's not just the money, it's the time, the energy, the emotions, your self-trust. So when you think about the time, how many hours? So conservatively, 5 to 10 hours per week, 260 to 420 hours per year. That's about 10 years. Over 10, sorry, 2,600 to 5,200 and 10 years. So how many days is that? 108 to 217 days of your life in the next 10 years spent on calculating macros, tracking every bite, cooking separate meals for yourself, shopping for special ingredients, planning meals with complicated rules. That's right, you keep going in circles. This is so, so crazy. And we just do it. It's like normalized. The emotional cost, right? So every diet you've tried and failed reinforces the belief that you're broken, that you made you trust yourself less. You added to your shame and disappointment, made the next diet harder. And how many times have you promised yourself, this time's gonna be different. Let's start Monday by giving up on by Wednesday or Friday. You lost 20 pounds and gained 20. This is not a character flaw. That's what diets are designed to do. This is what keeps you coming back. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, I promise, but I do see the reality. And the diet industry makes $72 billion per year because diets won't work long term. If they worked, you'd only need to buy one. So what is it costing you? Now we talk about your health risk. So every time you lose and regain weight, your metabolism, it has to re-regulate. It has to look at what's really going on. You lose muscle, and so we burn less fat, right? And you gain mostly back fat. Your body becomes more resistant to weight loss, right? It's like, here we go again. I don't know. Your risk of heart disease increases, your hormones get dysregulated, right? We don't see the leptin, the ghrelin, the insulin, all of those hormones are all over the place because our insulin is all over the place, our stress, right? Our cortisol. So, and your body at 65 after years of yo-yo dieting is not the same as your body at 45 or 25 or 35. Every diet makes the next one harder, and you're running out of time to fix this. So, I want you to understand that we have to stop having a knowledge problem. We have to have a thinking problem. And every day that you spend not looking through your emotions and understanding how it really makes a difference, then the further and further we don't trust ourselves. So the brutal truth is, another diet will not teach you these skills. Another book will not teach you these skills. Another podcast will not teach you these skills. Waiting until January will not teach you these skills. They are practice skills, not information you can download. You can't think your way into change. You have to practice. So just like if I gave you, if you watched 25 hours of free motion quilting videos, or a video on how to snowboard or how to do the butterfly stroke in the swimming pool. You could research it, you could read all about it, you could watch it, you can analyze it, but unless you actually go in the pool and start doing the stroke or go on the hill and start snowboarding or go even start doodling free motion quilting, if you don't actually do it, it's not going to help you. So what is keeping you from doing it? Now, I have these two paths, and I know they kind of seem like doom and gloom, but if you don't learn these skills now, you won't be able to be like Deb, who in her, 70s, she's thriving. She has energy, mobility, independence. She taught her granddaughters, she's able to go and do all sorts of adventures. Or you can be in your mid 70s and 80s, your health issues are compounding, you need help with things that you should be able to do yourself. You look back and think, I wish I'd figured this out when I was 65. You realize you spent your retirement years at war with food in your body and you missed on so much because you were uncomfortable. And so I don't want that for you. So, what impact is your current body size and lifestyle having on you now? And I just want you to ask yourself that. And then so we have Deb who's lost her 80 pounds and she's been keeping that off. And is she completely at peace and at rest all the time? No. But the thing that she is at peace with is that she knows that she can solve any problem. And she knows that she can really look at what's going on in her life. I talked about Susan, who's lost over 80 pounds. And and this is the thing that is interesting. So we can lose 80 pounds and then we can gain 10 back. And then we can look at that and say, why did that 10 pounds go back? And we can have these cycles, but she never has to worry about putting all that weight back on because she knows that she has the skills. And it's so amazing to watch what starts happening. And so we have people like Kate, who didn't have a lot of weight to lose when she started out, but now she's doing amazing, fun things in her life because she's now creating that confidence. And Lori, who is submitting quilts and quitting her day job so that she can work full time as a quilter. Um, there's so many women inside my membership that have made such changes, and it's so impressive to watch them. And it's because they finally made a decision to change. Now we have Susan, like I talked about before. Now look what she's doing. She's going figure skating. She's able to do these activities. Now I want you to ask yourself, what would happen inside your brain if you started to learn how to change your relationship with food, how you reacted? So remember, dopamine, we learn through dopamine. We have the first one is learning for positive and negative, and the second one is the reward center. So your brain has learned to not just want it, to like it, want it, and need it. And we have to change that pattern. We have to stop wiring the I'm sad, I'm going to go get the ice cream. I'm upset, I'm going to go and bake cookies. One of the things that, as we understand about how the brain works and how dopamine works and how to change that is, you know what depletes our dopamine? Sleep, deprivation, obesity, drug abuse, saturated fat intake, and stress. So we have to learn to change the way that our brain is learning. But if we don't get better sleep or learn about what is actually deprivation and obesity and drug abuse and saturated fat intake and stress, if we don't mitigate those things, we are just going to compound the problem. Now, dopamine is that pleasure part, reward part of our brain, is that rewards. So sex, shopping, smelling cookies, they all trigger a dopamine release or a dopamine rush. And just like we have to change it. So that's why I'm so confident in offering you my membership or my program, because inside my program, I actually teach you the 5 pillars to freedom. The first one is weight loss science is simple. We gotta have a very clean, clear path. The more it's complicated, the more we just get confused. And it's like someone, like, imagine you go to the bank and the person saying, yeah, invest with me. And they start using all this mumbo jumbo and jargon and everything that sounds really confusing. If you don't really understand what's going on, never invest with that person, right? You have to understand, or else it's too complicated, and then you're never gonna get like traction. So just like online with all these Instagram influencers or doctors or YouTube or whatever that is, you can just get so overwhelmed and you're just like, just tell me what to do. Okay. So that's number one. The second one is create your eating plan and troubleshoot it. So imagine if I gave you a long arm and I said, here you go, here's your long arm, but you don't have any instruction manual. You don't have any videos or you can't phone someone to help you. you have one problem with it, one thing breaks, one problem, it's like it doesn't do any good for you, okay? So just like with a diet, one thing could go wrong, like your kids don't come home for the holidays, or your husband says something that hurts your feelings. That diet's out the window. You have to learn how to manage it yourself. The third thing is you have to learn to feel your feelings instead of eating them or shopping or scrolling or whatever that is, okay? The fourth thing is take 100% responsibility for yourself. So no longer shaming yourself of I'm not good enough, or if I had a better mother, my life would be better, or blaming on something, okay? And the fifth thing is to build self-confidence. Now, inside my program, you will get lifetime access to all of the tools, these amazing life coaching tools that are proven to help you. And they will help you literally rewire your brain. We're going to learn to use dopamine in the best way possible. Okay. Now, you get lifetime access to all of those modules, to all the worksheets, to all the trainings ever. And not only do you get all of that, but I have a money back guarantee that I will help you, and these tools will help you. And there's so many women inside my program that have done this without even coming to like on their own with all the tools for $1,998. Now you might be saying to yourself or to me, like, Dara, I've done this before and I've spent all this money and I haven't got results. Now, this isn't a 6-week program. This isn't a 90-day challenge. This is lifetime access because this is a lifetime skill. You're not just paying for modules and coaching tools, because inside my program, you will get so many more supports for you. Um, it's a game changer. So what you're doing is you're paying for freedom from food drama for the next 30 plus years of your life. You're paying for the ability to navigate holidays, vacations, stress, and emotions without turning to food. You're paying for health and mobility in your 60s, 70s, and 80s. You're paying for being present with your family instead of obsessing with food or trying to make everyone happy. You're paying for the rest of your life in peace with food and your body. Because what is it actually costing you to not have that? So let's do the math. My membership or my program is $1,998. Let's say you live for another 30 years. So if you're 51 like me, that's 81. That's $660 per year. That's $5.55 a day, or 18 cents. Oh my goodness. $5.55 a month, or 18 cents a day. So how much would you have paid with Weight Watchers? So 250, 540 a year. The apps and all of that, 200 to 500 a year. Diet books. And so this is not just about the money too. It's about your time and energy. So, but those diets, they actually don't teach you how to feel your feelings, how to work with your brain, how to become your own authority, how to trust yourself, and how to be free. So inside the membership, I've bought other classes in the past, but don't trust myself. Okay, so this is what I have. I got your back because I get it. I have also signed up for those things. You get 3 live coaching calls a week. You get the replays from all the previous calls. You get Ask a Coach, which is you can get any coaching anonymously. So you ask, and I don't even know who ask them, and I will answer it. Group membership and support. So there are all these other women in there, and you think, oh my goodness, I'm not broken. So that helps you so much with not feeling shameful. And every month we have a focus. So for example, and this is why you have to be here in the month of October, we are really working on our protocol. So we're using 3 tools. We're using sleep, we're using the scale, and we're using our higher brain to plan sugar and flour. And we're really focusing on how do I make that protocol work for me? And when you do that, right? Look at Christmas is, less than 100 days. You are going to start building that foundation now before the big rush of all the holiday eating. I have a 20 pounds in 90-day money back guarantee, or until you take that 20 pounds off. Remember, this is a lifetime access. And so what would it take for you to actually learn how your body uniquely works on losing that weight, what impact would that have on your life? I also have to help you to work on your overwhelm. I have I've created 90 daily videos where you don't even actually to reduce the overwhelm of like, I don't know if I have time to watch all the modules and do all that. Guess what? You don't have to, because in the first 90 days, I've created an incredible, like, specific videos, daily videos, 5 to 7 minutes daily, coming into your inbox along with the the 90-day workbook, like workbook, where you can, and I mail it. If you purchase this membership in the next 48 hours, I will mail you that book to your doorstep, no matter where you live. If you're in Ireland, if you're in England, if you're in New Zealand, doesn't matter. I will mail it to you. Okay. And that is going to take out the overwhelm. It has made such a difference for so many women. Now, you're like, well, I've done this before. As soon as you join the membership, you get mindset videos right away. This is how your brain works. This is how you can be afraid. This is what you need to do. So I got you. Okay. I'm going to help you with that. I also send you weekly videos of saying, hey, this is week 1. How are you doing? And so, just like weight loss is more like brushing teeth and doing laundry, it's about learning how to change the way you use food. We always need to eat, right? It's like alcohol. You can go to AA and do abstinence, right? But we all have to eat. And like I said, there's 262 names for sugar. Oh, pardon me. So a lot of the times we're actually not even realizing we're eating sugar. We've been duped, right? We can change that. This is a lifetime program. I am always there for you. So, um, all right. What questions do you have for me? I just wanted to review just a few things before we go. Um, so you know what you should eat. You know that comfort food treats reward. You know all of that. And now we're going to rewire that. You know you best, but you don't trust yourself right now. And that's okay. I can help you with that. So the holidays are coming, so let's just not wait until January. So this is your brain protecting you from change. Let me show you what this cost is. If you wait until January 1st, that's 8 to 10 pounds. Sorry, it's 8 to 10 weeks from now. At 2 pounds per week, that's 16 to 20 pounds you could have already lost. That's 60 plus days of practicing emotional eating instead of feeling your feelings. That's 60 plus days of strengthening the neural pathways. That's 60 plus days of living in food drama and confusion. That 2 months closer to being 66, 70, 75 with the same struggles. So even if you're 65, you don't have decades to waste. Every year matters. So what kind of Christmas do you want to have? You will never feel ready. Your brain will always have a reason to wait. Ready is not a feeling, it's a decision. The women inside my program, they weren't ready either. They just decided to stop waiting. The real question is, how many, what happens if you continue this cycle and don't change? How many activities will you have to skip? Or holidays, missed promises, mornings where you feel disappointed? So your body is aging now. Your metabolism is slowing. Your joints are feeling the weight right now. We need to make this change. So if you, this is urgent. Like I understand that this is difficult, but imagine what would happen if you learned how to navigate through these holidays. And if you decide to just go on a GLP-1, I have a 2-part series in my podcast, but the problem is you are going to be spending this money and you still won't get the actual resolution of what's happening. So, what would your 70-year-old self decide to do right now? Would she continue to struggle with food, on multiple medications, limited mobility, and watching life from the sidelines, filled with regret? Or does she want to be free from food drama, healthy and active, um, living faithfully and grateful you made the decision? So Yeah, it's worth every penny. It totally is. And the support and the help. So let's be like Deb and Susan, Sue, Marie, Michelle, Kathy, all of these women to start living their life. Um, so your 70-year-old self is rooting for you. I'm here to teach you everything. So I want you to join. All right, it's been such a privilege and a pleasure to be with you. And I look forward to having you inside my membership. If you have questions or concerns, you can always book a call with me and we can have a conversation. But if your inclination is telling you to act, let's do it.